This video's sole purpose is to explain how the battle system of Rebirth of Souls works. I'll be breaking down the HUD, the attacks, defensive options, and other things that have been revealed in the gameplay for Bleach Rebirth of Souls. First, let's go over the HUD and what each bar represents. Each player has a bar on top of the screen with the indication of which player is it. The name of the character is next to that, while there's also a picture of the character. This picture changes when a character awakens or is getting hit. The health bar is also represented by a long white bar, and there's a cut to represent the last 30% of health for each Konpaku bar that you have. On top are 8 bars with a 9th larger bar with a number in the middle to represent how much total Konpaku you have. You start with 9, this is your soul or your Konpaku. Konpaku is the total amount of health a person has. At the beginning of the match, you have a certain amount of Konpaku bars that will be highlighted in yellow to determine the total amount of Konpaku your opponent can destroy from you via the key cone move. If a person awakens or uses certain abilities, this number will increase. As an example, when Rukia and Byakuya are fighting, it starts off as 3. However, when Byakuya awakens, it changes to number 4 on Rukia's side to indicate that 4 of the bars can be destroyed by Byakuya. Now, under each player character icon is a fighting spirit gauge. This gauge fills up, and once it gets to a certain level, you can awaken. This fills up whether you're giving or taking damage. This bar will allow you to awaken once filled. The words evolution with the sound indicator will show to indicate that you can awaken. Now, on the bottom of the screen, there are 2 more bars. The first is the spiritual pressure bar. This bar fills up when you attack or receive damage. The spiritual pressure bar generates EX as you battle. When you're taking damage, you are receiving less EX. When you're giving damage, you're receiving a bit more. The bar, when it fills up, allows you to use spiritual pressure moves. It seems that you have to hold down a button to then get to 4 different options. The first 2 are the spiritual pressures 1 and 2 option, and the other ones are the defensive options, slash step, reverse actions. It seems that each character has 4 options. 2 are offense and 2 are defensive. So, breaking down the combat, we can actually go into the basics. The basic actions are attack, breaker, and guard, and the key to victory is to select the most advantageous action in response to your opponent's action. First, let's go over the basic attack. This attack builds up the spiritual pressure gauge for EX and for the reverse gauge. The basic attack can be looked at as light attack. Doesn't do high damage, but helps to create a combo. The second basic attack is the flash attack. Flash attacks deal higher damage to opponent's reishi and easily cut off the opponent's guard gauge. This could be looked at as the medium attack. This attack is indicated by the yellow aura surrounding the attack. And the next is the breaker. The breaker hasn't been referenced in other sources outside of the Steam official community post highlighting the basics to combat. I believe the breaker is the red move that we're constantly seeing them do, which knocks back the opponent. Hakugeki is also this move where it blows the opponent and creates a large gap. These 2 might be the same thing, and that might be the breaker, or it might just be something they have to fully explain. Now, when this move is used without the opponent being under 30% health, it simply just knocks them back. It seems like it's a heavy that knocks the opponent back. And when it's used under 30%, you can follow it with your key cone move. However, I must add that there might be other conditions that need to be met in order to get this now or never indication that you see go off when this move is used when the person's health is lower, because I saw someone doing it in the gameplay even when their opponent was under 30% health and it just was not going off. So I feel like there is another condition that must be met in order to get that follow-up, and it's not just a simple spam this once they get to a certain amount of health. Also, if you pay close attention, this heavy move or the Hakugeki move has some non-stun properties, as you need to get hit several times in order for it to be broken, as you can get hit a couple times before it breaks. This was showcased in the Gin vs Ichigo gameplay. Grabs also exist in this game. This is indicated by the pink indicator. We actually see this in the Gin versus Ichigo gameplay that dropped. This was also not highlighted in any of the official posts. There's likely things in the gameplay that they're still working on, and this is why we haven't heard about these things just yet. Then of course there's guard. You can guard block attacks. However, when you are blocking attacks, you have a meter that appears. If this meter is emptied, you go into a guard break state. Guard break state leaves you susceptible, I believe, to a key cone move. I'll put the information on the screen so you know what I'm talking about. Then we got to talk about the announcer indicator. At various points, you'll hear the announcer say strike back in the gameplay. This seems to be a sort of indication that the player could extend or use a follow-up move, as this only is stated when you are attacking, not when you are taking damage. I could be wrong about this, but again, we need more clarification or more gameplay to truly test this hypothesis. Getting into the advanced part of attack, first we have signature attacks, special flash attacks, spiritual pressure 1 and spiritual pressure 2 attacks. Looking at certain characters, Ichigo and Kisuke don't seem to have a signature attack but a special flash attack. Uryu doesn't have a signature attack showcased. Until we are given a full look at several characters, it's safe to assume not every character will have what every other character has. Case in point, Toshido. They revealed his gameplay and we saw that he has a special bar that's connected to a ability he has in a series. This is something that we'll probably see other characters have, but not every character is going to have this. Signature attacks don't seem to require any resources and are unique for each character. Spiritual Pressures 1 and 2 make use of the Spiritual Pressure gauge, which fills up via the EX, and when you attack it fills up faster than if you receive damage. And the reverse gauge, I believe this also fills up when you are giving damage, and I think if you take damage this goes down. This gauge, in conjunction with your attacks, you could use the flash step ability to extend combinations and stuff, but I'll get further into that shortly. We then have the secondary part of combat, which is the movement and defensive options. According to the Steam page, there are steps, dashes, and ho-ho in the game. Steps can be used in 4 different directions it seems. Dashing seems to be back and forth. Not sure about left and right just yet, but it closes the distance faster on opponents versus just walking or steps. There doesn't look to be resources required for this. Each character looks to have 2 evasive options, the reverse action and the flash step. We see 3 types of reverse actions, soul, chain, and burst. Each have a different effect. With soul, it increases your spiritual power and reishi recovery. With chain, it gives you a combo continuation and increased spiritual power. And with burst, it cancels the opponent's combo and gives guard gauge recovery. Each of these depend on the timing of the activation to determine which is used. The second reverse action is the flash step. When I say second reverse action, I'm talking about the reverse option out of reverse actions and flash step. Flash step seems to have the ability to evade an attack and also extend the attack. In one version, we see you get behind the character and you get that little cutscene where the person is surprised that you caught them off guard. The other one seems to extend the combo, and after you blow a character away, then you can follow up with flash step and continue on with the assault. Just to let you guys know, flash step is referred to as a couple different names depending on the race of the character. If they're a Soul Reaper, it's called Shunpo. If they're a Rankar, it's called Sonido. If they're a Quincy, it's called Hyrin Kyaku. And for Fullbringers, they don't even have a name for theirs. I bring this up to basically say that there may be a chance that for a Rankars and maybe Quincy's, if we have more than just Uryu, maybe Uryu and his father, it might be different names for the moves. Probably the most confusing part about the game seems to be what the bars mean. I feel like this is where a lot of the confusion is coming into play. One area is the sublimation in the spirit drive gauge. After the character awakens, their bar turns red. There is a thing called the spirit drive, as I stated. Unfortunately, Bandai hasn't fully explained these mechanics in full detail, let alone explained them at all. The fortunate thing, however, is that there are going to be tutorials in this game that probably are going to have to go in depth and explain these things. While this may help those who are still confused about the game and how it plays, I, hopefully, when given the chance to play this game, will show you guys how this game works and how it truly plays. But until then, that's going to be it for the video. Hopefully I did a good job of explaining this stuff. If there's still some things, then we'll just go from there. I'm Makai saying, what yo? And I'll catch you guys in the next one.